Let's go over what the CE marking process really is and why it's your ticket to having a successful medical device in Europe. Welcome to the Formally channel, where we walk you through how to build compliant medical devices for everyday people like you and me. I will explain concepts and theories that'll show you how to build a product that's actually ready for the market. All of this without making you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. So what are we talking about today? Today we're just talking basics. Let's get into it. What is a CE mark? If you haven't noticed, they are everywhere. See, even on the most random products, you'll find a CE mark. Okay, cool. My sunglasses and my pen are CE marked, but that must be different than a medical device, right? And there you would be 100% correct. CE marks differ by what the product is. So a medical device CE mark is much more difficult to get. Think of it as your passport for your medical device. Once you have your CE mark, you can more or less sell anywhere in Europe. And this is where people usually get ahead of themselves. Getting a CE mark isn't like submitting a form and getting approval. There's a lot more that you have to do beforehand. Don't worry though. In this video, we're gonna break down the CE marking basics so you'll know what to do. All right, so what is CE marking really? Easy. I'll just go to the EU website and I'm sure that's gonna tell me everything I need to know. Okay, let's see. So CE stands for Conformity Européenne, Conformity Européenne? Conformity Européenne, whatever that means. We need a conformity assessment of a quality management system and technical documentation. If you understood any of that, you're already much farther along than most people. Let's break this down into simpler terms. You need to do a conformity assessment. This is kind of like getting a final inspection on your house before you can go live there. They check to make sure your medical device is good to go before you can sell it. They check under your staircase and in your attic, and hopefully don't find any skeletons in your closet. Okay, that's cool, but what are they actually checking? The two things that they check are your quality management system and your technical documentation. Both of these sound like nonsense to new founders, but don't worry, they're not as complicated as they sound. Let's start with the quality management system. Most people shorten this to QMS. It's kind of like the playbook for how you run your company. The rules for the playbook are set by international committees, and those rules are called standards. Essentially, everyone who's creating a medical device is supposed to have similar processes for designing, manufacturing, testing their products, as well as capturing complaints and things like that. This makes sure that products are of like a certain quality, and if anything goes wrong, you're prepared to fix it. We will talk about the QMS more in another video, so stay tuned. But for now, that's all you really need to know. Technical documentation, on the other hand, is a more complicated term for your specific device information. You'll document everything about your design, your testing, your safety, and your performance, so that you can show it to regulators and they can check it off as being completed. You'll hear the word technical file too. It's kind of like a summary of all your technical documentation. You'll submit this when you're ready to go. Regulators use this more or less like a blueprint to check your compliance. Once your QMS and your technical documentation have been confirmed, you're ready to throw your CE mark on your product as a seal of approval. Then just register your company and your device and you're ready to go. With that being said, let's talk about what it costs to certify your device. When the bill comes, can you pay for it? As with most things, the time it will take will completely depend on the resources you have at your disposal. For example, do you have a full in-house quality and regulatory team and unlimited budget? If that's true, you must be Bezos and you'll be ready to go before you know it. Obviously, most of us are limited by at least one resource in our company. In general, there are two things that affect your time to market. One is device type and one is device class. Number one, device type. Simply put, complex devices take more time to certify than simple devices. Simple standalone software, that's usually the fastest product to develop and certify. Think of it taking a couple months to a year. Multi-component hardware and software products can take a lot longer to develop and certify. These take a year to a couple of years. This is because complex devices just end up taking more developmental resources, testing, and documentation, and so it just takes longer. Other aspects like artificial intelligence, sterilization, implantables, they just have additional requirements that just add a little bit more time to the process. All right, number two, device risk classification. The higher the risk class, the more time and money you'll need. Risk classes go from 1 to 3, and they're based on your product's actual risk to its users. Low risk devices are class 1. Think Band-Aids and stethoscopes. Medium risk devices are class 2A or class 2B. Think AI diagnostic software or electrical stimulation devices. High risk devices are class 3. Think pacemakers or implants. Medium and high risk devices require an audit from regulators, called notified bodies in Europe, in order to get their CE mark. Audits are a big deal. This is what I was talking about when I mentioned conformity assessments. Notified bodies do an inspection of your documentation before they can give you a green light for your CE mark. On average, the audit's going to cost you 40 to 120,000 euros, and it'll take up to 6 to 12 months at time. Class 1 devices, on the other hand, don't require an audit because they're low risk. With no audit required, Class 1 devices can get to market much cheaper and faster. For Class 1, you essentially declare that you've met all your requirements and register your product. And if a regulator has an issue, they'll just come ask to inspect you. My advice is that you figure out your device requirements early. That way you can plan for a need for audits or additional documentation early on. And that way you can get to market without any hiccups. Now, I want to start by saying this. As a founder with no experience, you can do this. Think of it as that old proverb, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. Not that I'm advocating eating elephants. Anyways, let me break down how founders and small startups usually tackle this process. Usually you go through one of 3 routes. Outsource to a consultant. There's big and small firms that can help you with this. Do it yourself in-house. If you have the time and team members to dedicate to it, you can do this too. Or you can use a tech stack or a combo approach. There's a few options out there, but I think Formally is the best. Come on, you knew I had to plug that. I've seen all these work, but I want to follow that up with some of my own personal thoughts. It is my opinion, and this could be controversial, but your regulatory decision is a business decision at the end of the day. I mean, a strategy for when and how to certify your device might not make sense for another company or another device. For example, CE marking a simple device might get it on the market faster and start making revenue for you. Then again, maybe your device is only marketable when it has cool, complex features, or an insurance company is only going to reimburse a higher risk class. As you know from watching this video, a more complex device takes more time to get to market and is going to cost you more in the end. As you can tell, there's a lot of variables there, and that's what regulatory strategy is. The key take home, be realistic and choose a strategy that works for you. Know your resources, understand your market, and choose a regulatory strategy that works for your business goals. So when should you start? The short answer is as soon as you know the device you want to build. Regulatory compliance is not something you can just bolt on last minute. Knowing your strategy, budget needs, and regulatory strategy from day one can be a lifesaver. This saves you a ton of money. I'm gonna laugh. Why am I laughing? This saves you a ton of money and time avoiding delays and redesigns later on. It could probably save you some anxious nights of sleep too. And there it is, the CE marking basics. And take it from me, you can do it. And once you're immersed in the process, it really becomes second nature and things really start to click, believe me. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you at all, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.